on season 2. The stage is yours, Lady D Hayton. Check it out. I brought some singers with me, right? They call the Artists of War. They're gonna sing, but before they do that, I'm gonna do this. Check it out. Watch me, haters. Watch me later. See, I'm 4 times 10 plus, so watch my gators. I'm God's twin, made in his image, my friend. You can Snapchat on me all day. My life matters to him. Let's go, man.
Can't believe the report of man. 'Cause it's designed to take you off God's plan. Cancer tried to take mom away, but I prayed, I praised, and now she's free. My life matters to you, Lord. My life, oh, it may not matter to you, but my life, oh, matters to you, and only you, Lord.
Speak to him, Mike.
People dying in the street cause the color of their skin. So busy hating one another. Can't you see we're brothers and we don't matter to them? I know it sounds hopeless. Trust, I've got good news. Your life is precious in his eyes and he will help you get through.
Talk to him, Sharice.
You may think it's over, but it's not. Life can't seem to get you down. So much depression and you're feeling suicidal. Know that he can turn your life around. You may seem alone like you don't matter to some. Don't take your life cause you're not done. The best is yet to come.
Yes. I absolutely I love that song. I love that song.
You love that song?
I really do.
Do you love that song because you're on this song?
I don't.
Okay,
I don't even mention the fact that I'm on the song. I just say that I love the song. This is not what we gonna do, honey bunny.
Okay. Lady D is known to be a hater, but I'm gonna let my wife slide right now. Coming to the stage, y'all. This guest is an amazing. I had the pleasure to speak with him off the court. He has a story, Lady D. Now, I just ordered some of the stuff off of his app. He's going to talk about that.
Okay.
Season, because you know I'm the Iron Chef in this house, right? Okay, yeah, I'm the Iron Chef in the house.
I'll give you that. I will give you the kitchen, sweetie. I will give you the kitchen, the whole entire kitchen.
Hater.
Yeah, so anyway, our guest is Mike D. He is from Durham, North Carolina. Let me just tell y'all how this happened. I had sat down and I was flipping through the TV and I happened to see the words, I quit. I saw I quit. That's what grabbed my attention because at this point I am sitting there and I think that I was having a rough day that day and everything I felt was I quit. I quit this, I quit that, I quit this, everything. And it grabbed my attention. So I went back and I said, let me see what this is all about. And I saw that it was a group of people that had been selected and, for this show and they were going to quit their jobs so that they can pursue their business. And it grabbed me because I'm
she was about to quit her job.
Wow, people, you have to have a whole lot of boldness to be able to do that. And, I watched the episode, and as I watched the episode, it says they happen to say that these people are going to win some money, but they don't even know it. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. So of course, you have to root for somebody, and I'm rooting, whoever wins, just go ahead. But Mike D, his story, oh my God, touched me, and the reason he was doing and the sacrifice that you saw him make, and he's going to talk about the sacrifice, but the sacrifice that you saw him make, I'm like, God, he gotta win.
He have to win.
He have to win.
He was so consistent. I'm gonna tell you he got to tell. We're gonna talk about the part when him and his wife, they was packing some bags. Lady, let's get them in.
Yes.
They was packing up.
Everybody,
come on, put your hands together to our stage, season 2. We launching with the big dog, Mike D. Yo, welcome to the Swag in the Morning. This is The Stage is Yours. This is the part where we really let you house the show. It's like it's your birthday. You can do what you want, say what you want, shout out who you want. The stage is yours. Welcome to the stage, Mike D. What's good, my man?
Oh, thanks for having me. Everything is good. That's quite an introduction. I don't think I've ever come on to anything with that kind of introduction before. So
we try to hand you the keys to our house, man. You can come in and put all the Mike D seasons. You can move in. You can put all the seasons in the sauce. It's right there because I got my order coming in. So hey, you can move in. You and Mrs. Santos. Y'all can move in if y'all want. How you been, my brother?
Oh, doing good. Just trying to live the dream.
Man, you're doing some exciting things, man. Like what blew me away right away immediately when I was downloading the app, and I said, okay, it's a wrap right now because Lady D, she can't watch my phone me ordering. She'll see some Amazon boxes. She'll see about a Porsche. What's this? Another mic? Yeah, it is. Until you're getting ready to hit the Hampton Roads with your product. It's gonna be in Virginia, in this area, very soon. If not now, it will be. Trust me. I got a big mouth. Right, lady?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, as he said, welcome to the show. We thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with us. I wanted to just go ahead and get into the questions because I believe once we ask the question, everything else is going to simply flow. Now, tell me about the show. Tell me about the show. How did you end up on the show? How did that come about?
Yeah, so the story of how we got on the show is kind of crazy itself because it was such a long process, actually. So people who know me know, like, I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. I'm not big on cameras. Don't even like being on camera. Don't even like my picture taken. But some people, I guess, when the show had put out their casting call, I never saw it. Where do you even see casting calls, right? Like, I always wondered, like, how people got on TV. But somebody emailed me and said, hey, we saw this casting call and we think you fit what they're looking for. You should apply. And then a second person sent me that and said, hey, we think you fit what they're looking for. You should apply. And so, two people saying the same thing in less than a day. I was like, well, maybe there's something to this. So I took it home, showed my wife, and she was like, I mean, why not? The worst I can say is no. Like, we're already not on TV. So, like, if we don't get chosen, it doesn't really have any impact on us. And I was like, yeah, but I don't like cameras. And so we ended up deciding to do it. So I filled out the little questionnaire and thought nothing of it, sent it in. Next thing I know, they're emailing us saying, hey, let's get on a phone call. We do the phone call, and then like, oh, let's do some Skype interviews with you and your wife. We'll do an hour with her, an hour with you, and then do some stuff together. And then they were like, oh, now we need you to go, and gave us like a list of videos to make on our iPhones and then sit those in. And then they're like, we're going to turn all this stuff into a casting reel. We're going to ship it up to the folks who are making the decision, and we'll let you know. And then everything went quiet. Like, I didn't hear from them for months. And so I was thinking, like, okay, well, that was a fun thing. And then in about, let's see, it was about, late 2018, maybe August, I sent them a message and said, hey, just out of curiosity, since I didn't get chosen, can you send me the casting reels you guys put together from all the videos and stuff, just for fun? I'd like to see what it looked like. And they're like, no, we can't send it to you, but don't do anything crazy because you're a finalist. And I was like, oh, okay. So, like, what do you mean by don't do anything crazy? Because actually at the time, I was, considering moving to California. I had, got some, pretty decent job offers out there, and we were going to move over there and, still keep Mike D's Barbecue going, but kind of slow it down a little bit, get settled out west before we sort of brought it back up again as a West Coast operation. And they're like, yes, don't move to San Diego. And I was like, okay. So I talked to my wife a little bit, and I said, there's a chance that we'll be chosen for this TV show. And so I'm going to turn down these offers in San Diego and keep doing what we're doing here because we might end up get chosen. And they'll let us know in November. November came around and they still hadn't told anything to us yet. They're like, oh, we'll let you know in January. And at the time, I had another job offer on the table to run a national campaign around monetary policy and unemployment and racial diversity issues. And my wife was like, well, maybe we should not do the show anymore and just focus on this. Is a great opportunity to run a national campaign and, really be able to, blow up your career that way. We can still keep Mike D's BBQ going, but it might benefit from you being this, national figure on monetary policy. And I was like, yeah, but my dream is the business, is to walk away from the social activism stuff and just do barbecue. And this could help me do that. And we're a finalist. Like, maybe we'll find out in January that we're chosen for the show. And the thing with this other job, like, it wouldn't be around if I had to make a decision then if I was going to continue proceeding because, the folks wanted me to have that job, but I couldn't wait until January to tell them an answer. I had to tell them something before then. So I ended up telling them no because I might be on this TV show. And I didn't want to take the job. And then, because they're like, you could take it, and then if you don't get chosen for the show, you already have this job. And I was like, yeah, but if I do, I'll then have to quit the job and focus on this instead. And, that wouldn't be fair to start a new job and then walk away all of a sudden, because that wouldn't be fair to you. And so I ended up I said, no, I can't continue down this process of trying to get this job. I need to back off. And so I was taking some big risks just on the whim that I might be chosen. And then in January of 2019, they sent me an email and said, you're in. You're a finalist. You're going to be on the show, and we start filming next month.
Wow.
And so it all worked out. And then we ended up getting on the show. And that's kind of how we got from application to being on the show. It took a whole year, but
a whole year. So I'm just
wow,
listening.
I'm blown away.
I'm
man.
listening to it, listen to the story of how you got to be on the show alone. And then, me watching the episode, it shows me how in the beginning, throughout this whole process, you had to walk on faith, to leave your job, to turn down jobs,
before the show.
Right, before the show. It took a whole bunch of faith. So during that process, without getting too much in your personal business, did all of that cause any tension in the home?
Towards the end, when like November, when they hadn't said we were on the show yet, and I had this opportunity for this national campaign to run this national campaign, and I was saying no to that for the chance at being on a TV show. That did cause a little bit of tension. My wife was like, maybe, we should do this instead. We got to think about the family. And so that caused a little bit of tension, but also, my wife is very supportive of my dream to, build our barbecue empire. And so even though there was a little bit of tension at first, she was like, if this is your dream, this you want to pursue, and this is the chance you want to take, I'm in. Let's pursue it and see what comes of it. But there was definitely a little bit of a tension there for a little bit before she finally came back and was like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. So I was going to say is that, even though there may have been tension, she still had to be in some way supportive because you guys moved on, because I'm sure that there was some fear. There was a whole lot of things knowing that, okay, there's a possibility that this won't work, and now, did you know that you were going to win money? There was a possibility of winning money. You didn't know that, right?
No, we had no idea that was even part of the show. We just thought it was going to be a show that followed six entrepreneurs around the country as we left our jobs to focus on building our business and kind of show the ups and downs and the trials that come with that. But we had no idea that there was going to be some funds awarded to one of the businesses.
So I'm looking at this. Stepped out on faith.
Yeah.
Faith.
Yeah.
Blind. Not knowing if there was going to be, and let me just remind the viewers, right? He don't even like being in front of the camera.
Right.
But felt something.
Well, a
felt
tug
something
to follow your dream. Like, who wants to give up
I got to promote my business.
Yeah.
Right?
Who wants to give up that opportunity? And I mean, I kind of get it. Follow the opportunity is right there. Follow it all the way through because you never ever know. So that's the first lesson that we learning, guys, is that follow the opportunity when it presents itself. Follow your dreams and hold on to it. Come on,
because Mike D is a prime example of not knowing. He didn't know about the money. He didn't know about winning.
Right.
He didn't know about none of that.
So then,
but he just wanted to follow his dream,
right,
to push his business.
Which says that he didn't follow it for the money. It's a passion. It's a dream. It's what's in his heart. It's what makes his blood pump. So you gotta follow the dream, not the money.
Not the money.
Follow the dream. All right. So
when we come back, lady, let me take a pause. I'm gonna play a song.
We're gonna come back. I got questions.
I know you got questions. I'm gonna hit him with the hard questions.
Okay, we're gonna hit him with the hard
questions. Listening to this swag. Stand by. Mike D.
I was down. I tried to pray, I was broke through the whole town. You don't really wanna know what I've been through, so listen up, cause I'm about to tell you. I was touched in the wrong way, hey, and they even took my little sister away. I tried so hard to find her, but my truth, it got me caught up. And my child, she needs me so bad. She's the best thing that I ever had. I wanna teach her right, but my truth I cannot hide. You don't really wanna know my truth. You don't really wanna know my truth. You don't really wanna know my truth, cause my truth hurts sometimes. You don't really wanna know my truth. You don't really wanna know my truth. You don't really wanna know my truth, cause it'll make you lose your mind. Now my husband's going crazy, thought I was his baby. I haven't seen him lately, I guess I was his maybe. Say, brother, you supposed to be my lover, my friend, my confidant, but you darken up my ambiance. I'm fighting with the demons my mother left when she left me. And what you do, you turn around and neglect me. I don't wanna live no more. I don't wanna live no more. My cup runneth over with stress. This life's too tough. It's hopeless for me. I get it. I'm giving up.
All right. We back. That was The Truth from my homegirl, Sharice, off the soundtrack, My Life Matters soundtrack. I had to plug that. Yeah. So we're talking to Mike D.
Yes.
An amazing story, lady.
Amazing.
The stuff you don't know.
I know.
The roads, the journey.
Right. The journey.
People go through.
Right.
We're going to bring Mike back in. Oh, man. So, Lady D,
yes.
you're loaded with questions. All right, Mike D. She makes it hard, man. I just was going to ask you, who's your favorite football team? But you're in North Carolina. It might be Panthers, and we might get off the wrong side of the we might just have a little beef. We'll get to that later.
We're going to get to that later. Yeah. So, Mike, listen. Okay, so we done figured out how you got on the show. Now, being on the show, what was it like? Because you don't like cameras, so what is it like? You feeling like you're invaded. Tell me, how is that? How's that process?
The process is pretty crazy. And for somebody who doesn't like cameras, it can be like nerve-wracking. There's also just kind of crazy, just like some of the things you have to do, like to give you some context, right? Like one time they filmed me on my way to Virginia Beach to do a show, and they want to get some footage of me just driving down the road. So I'm driving down 95 on my way, still in North Carolina, on my way up to Virginia. So going up 95, and there's a camera guy sitting in my passenger seat with this giant camera, and it just pointed at me. And it's like, don't look over here. Don't look at me. Just drive and act natural. So I'm trying to act natural. This giant camera that's like right here, right? And then at one point we pull over so they can get some like footage of me driving. And I have to you guys know what it's like driving down 95, right? It's crazy. Like it's a speed limit, but it's not really a speed limit, right? Cars are just flying. And so they're like, you got to drive a little bit slower so we can pull up next to you and film. And so here I am driving down 95, and I'm only going like 45 miles an hour. and they pull up next to me in a minivan, and like the door flies open on the side, and the camera guy's like hanging out of the car with the big old camera just pointing at me, and they're like, I can hear them over the radio, and they're like, "Don't look over here, don't look, just act natural." And I'm like, so I'm trying to not look at them drive while he's like hanging out of the vehicle with this big old camera, and then there's like a line of cars behind me because they want to be driving fast because it's 95. And so finally they're like, okay, we got enough shots. We can pull up front. You can drive normal now. So I get back up to speed, and there's like car after car is like flying past me. Some people are giving me the finger. Like I can see some people just like staring me down. And it's like, I'm sorry, like I nothing I can do about that. You guys saw this guy hang out the car in the camera. So it's like stuff like that is just pretty crazy. But also just, some of the times where I was cooking food or smoking meats on camera, like that can be really challenging because, especially when you're smoking meats, right? You got to get your timing right. You don't want to miss certain steps. And sometimes they like don't want you to open your smoker until the camera's ready. And it seemed like there's always like a camera malfunction right at that time. So like, no, don't do anything yet. And I was like, look, y'all can't have me on TV looking like I can't make ribs, right? Like, y'all can't be ruining my reputation, And they're like, no, it's all going to work out. It'll be fine. And like, it's easy for you to say because nobody calls your ribs life-changing. So like, it's easy for you. But for me, that could be problematic. But it all worked out in the end. But there was some times where there was some heated exchanges between me and the producers about some of the timing around the meats and cooking and the cameras and stuff. But overall, it was a great experience. You learn a lot, right? You learn that you can take like 8 hours of footage and they'll use like 30 seconds of it. And so it's so crazy, that whole process. But also like on that end, on some levels kind of ruined TV for me, right? Because I know how it's all done now. So like when I'm watching shows, I'm like looking for like things that didn't go right. I was watching a show one time, and I think I was watching like SEAL Team on CBS, right? And there's a scene with like in Afghanistan, and then like the SEALs are running towards the camera. The camera's backing up, but you can see this guy in like a flannel shirt, like running with the camera. So you can see him like they didn't cut it out. And so like you can tell like that's probably like some poor production assistant who was trying to get out of the way, and they just didn't cut it. And so like you start to pick up on some of these little things just from having to go through a year of filming. Like you start to notice things that the average person's not noticing when they're watching TV, but you're picking up on these small things like, oh, they messed up there. Some producers not happy right now watching this final cut. So that's a sort of fun part of the whole thing.
Yeah, because listening to you now in my head, I'm sitting there saying, "Oh wow, he couldn't even look over there. Let me go back and see how he was looking at that time."
So it was a camera guy next to Mike D.
Yeah, that's what was going on with Mike D.
I was wondering who drives like that. It's like driving this days. You just drive.
Exactly, because like they're also like I couldn't drive with one hand. Like they're like you have to have both hands on the steering wheel. Like we can't show people driving not the way it's supposed to be done. And so I was like, I haven't driven like this since I was like 16. Like, what am I doing? But yeah, so if you go back and look at some of the driving scenes, you can see why it seems so awkward. The other thing, sometimes on the driving scenes, like if you remember in one of the episodes where like I picked up Harley, my mentor, from the airport, right?
Okay.
Like the whole front of my window was full of like GoPros. And so I'm like driving with like looking over camera, trying to see the road. Because it's like GoPros that can be filming like everything that we do and say in the car without having camera people in there. So that's also fun. It's also fun when you have to like repeat scenes, right? Like so like when I pulled up to the airport to pick him up, right, and I'm pulling up, and I hop out of my car and I run around and shake his hand. They're like, "Oh, that's great, but we need to do that again." And so like I got to get back in the car. I don't have to drive up again, but I got to get back in the car and get out again. And meanwhile, there's all these people who are just trying to get picked up to go home, trying to figure out like, why is there a camera crew? Like, who's this random guy getting out of this truck? Who's this other guy who he's coming over to shake his hand? Why are there makeup people and all this stuff standing out here? So you get a lot of those sort of circumstances where people are just like staring at you because they're trying to figure out like what's going on. Like, who is this guy that needs a camera crew at the airport?
Wow. All right. So before we get into the, the business and what it is that you do and, what your superstardom is, tell me about the process of quitting your job. So how did that go? Like, you have to go in and say, I quit. How do you do that?
Yeah, so I was fortunate in that my boss at the time has been my boss for a very long time.
Mm.
It was
Yeah.
going on 10 years of being my boss, right? And so like he's been a big supporter of my business as well from the very beginning. And always gave me the flexibility to, work the full-time job and take the time I needed to, grow the business. So he was always very supportive. He kind of knew this was coming. He knew at some point I was going to walk away to focus on my business. So for me, probably over all the other folks on the show, it was a little bit easier for me to shoot my quit scene because, my boss had been so supportive and pushing me, knowing that one day I was going to go all in on the business. So it was a little bit easier. But if you go back and watch, you notice I was the only one who they filmed who quit, who didn't actually say I quit. Because I've never quit anything in my life, so I don't say the words I quit. And so I told my boss it was time for me to I told my boss it was time for me to move on versus saying I quit because
I gotta go back.
Yeah. See, lady, you wasn't paying attention.
Well,
His boss was cool with him. I was like, yo, his boss
I
is in
realize
a fix.
I did realize that his boss was cool, but I mean, as far as him not saying I quit, I think for me, I didn't pay attention to that point because I knew that's what he was going to do, and in my head it was like he going to quit, so I didn't listen to the words.
I was like,
didn't pick it up.
His thing is easy because his boss was like, almost like, you want to move on, huh? It's almost like he expected that from Mike. So I was like, oh. This guy, his boss believes in him.
You know what? I remember saying, on that scene, I remember saying, "Oh, that is so sweet." Yeah. He didn't give him a hard time.
I'm like, yo, that was amazing.
Yeah. So
I said he gonna win.
Yeah, I'll just say that Pat, my old boss, he's still my wife's boss, by the way. But he's been like he's a special guy. He's been a big part of our life. When he was responsible for my wife and I moving up to North Carolina from South Carolina where we were at the time, right? When he offered us some jobs up here. And he's been like in many ways, oftentimes like a second father to me, where as much support he's given us over the years. And so, the fact that when I told him I was starting a business and he was all supportive of it and would allow me to flex my schedule at work so I could do both, right? He's always been there for us. And when we first got married, when you work in the sort of activism, advocacy world, right, you don't make a lot of money, right? You're not making a big salary. And so, when we first got married, he covered the cost of our honeymoon just because he wanted to make sure that we got away to take some time away to celebrate our wedding. And so he's a very special person to me. And still supportive of the business. I still see him obviously because he comes into town because my wife still works for him, but he comes into town and we still talk. He stopped by the store 2 days ago and we just talked for about 20 minutes. And so he's a special person. So that also helped to make, even if he didn't know I was going to eventually leave one day. I mean, he knew that it was coming because we had talked about it in the past. Like, at some point I'm going to go all barbecue and I'm not going to do this work anymore. Like he would have, even if he didn't know that, he would have been supportive because that's the kind of guy and boss that he is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Let's talk about your story. And what your drive and what's the core of your drive. There was a footage where the host of the show was talking to you about your son. Now, through a lot of things in success, there's a lot of tragedy, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering that a lot of people don't know what people have to go through in order for them to really get close and then get in the lane before you even run this thing called success. So let's talk about the obstacles that you had to face. You had some losses doing your business. And if you don't mind, I want to go there because I want to segue into what I want to talk about when we speak about mental health and depression and then all of those things. And so what's your story? What's your true drive, man, that really had you go hard with this business?
Yeah, so the thing was my son. I go hard for the business because I want to honor my son's memory and sort of create a legacy that's tied to him. Like if he hadn't come into our lives, right, I would have never even started a business. I would have never done this, right? The whole reason I did it was to honor him. and sort of try to live life in the same way that he did during his short life. So the background context to that is we had a son. His name was Aaron, and one thing I always wanted growing up was I wanted to have a son, and we were blessed with daughters. And so when we found out that we were having a boy, it was really exciting. But the day we found out that we were having a boy is also the day that we found out that he had some really serious complications. So it was like a day of, you do the ultrasound and say you're having a boy. And so you're on a high, right? You're way up here. And then, when the doctor walks out and they said, the doctor will be back in shortly to talk with you. Well, the doctor didn't come right back, right? It took, almost an hour before the doctor came back into the room. And so then we started to wonder, like, something must be wrong. Something's not right. And that's when they came back and told us that, Aaron had a condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, where essentially the easy way to explain that is only half of his heart developed. So he basically had just half of a heart. And so that was going to require a lot of things for him to be able to live a normal life, including, basically going into surgery right away after he was born. And so even on top of that, he even like with that heart condition, he also had, which sometimes is a side effect of this condition, he also had a hole in his heart, which also sort of made the process even more risky. So it made a real risky pregnancy. And then when he was born, like we didn't even get to see him when he was first born, because as soon as they took him out, they took him immediately into surgery. So he was born and went right into open heart surgery, when at that time his heart is about the size of a strawberry. And they were already performing open heart surgery on it because they had to patch up that hole and then start the other parts of the process. And so essentially, Aaron lived exactly 6 months, and we spent all but 3 weeks of that living in the hospital, essentially. And so it was really trying time for us. But it was also something that kind of just stuck out to me because I was just sort of watching him as he was just trying to live, right? Like he can't make excuses. He can't be like, I don't want to do anything today, right? His body had to try to fight to live, and he literally fought all the way until he couldn't fight anymore. And so it was, a big lesson for me in terms of, we often make a lot of excuses of why we can't do things. And, he couldn't do that. He could just try to do what he could do until he couldn't do it anymore. And he did that until his body couldn't take it anymore. And so it was a really, really, really hard time. Like I held him as he took his last breath, as his heart beat for the last time. And that's something like nobody should have to go through. Right. Yeah. And so it was really, really rough. I had a really rough time after that, trying to, be strong for the family. It was not easy on my wife either. The kids were devastated. Our youngest was probably too little to fully understand everything that was going on at the time. But it was a really rough time for the family. And it took us a while to sort of get past that. One way that I helped myself get past it is I actually wrote a book about the experience to try to like honor him and to share parts of our story, because I knew that there were we met so many families in the Children's Heart Unit at Duke Hospital, right? And we were privileged that we lived there, so like we could still have the comforts of home. We had families who were, living in the Ronald McDonald House who weren't home. They were hours and hours away from home, no support system, and so we ended up we made a lot of friends with families who were there who were going through that, and we saw several families lose their children. We lost ours, and so we kept this unique sort of bond that we all sort of created. But one thing that I noticed during that time was there was, and rightfully so, there's always a lot of attention on the mothers during this period, especially after the child passes, which is the right thing to do, right? Mothers have a very different connection with their children than the men do, but we still have a connection as well. And there wasn't a lot of attention sort of paid to the men. Like nobody was asking the fathers if they were okay. Nobody was telling the fathers it was okay to cry. And so part of why I wrote the book was just to write it from a father's perspective and let men know that it's okay, right? If you're going through these things, it's okay to cry. It's okay to do these things, right? Like we matter in these situations too. And while folks are giving our wives or significant others all the attention as they should, like we can do some things to take care of it. It's okay if we go walk away and cry. It's okay if we go let this stuff out. So I wrote that book as a way to help me grieve, help me process, but then also to try to have our story and my story and Aaron's story help other people. That was really, once I wrote that book and I started to, get a little bit better in how I was dealing with things going forward, I thought to myself, I've been telling people for the longest, I can't, every excuse in the book why I shouldn't start the business I wanted to start. And for me to honor his legacy, I couldn't make those excuses anymore. And I needed to just go ahead and just live life to the fullest, no regrets, and take the chances to chase my dreams, because you're not promised tomorrow. And if he could fight for 6 months just to live, I could try to start a business, because if I fail the business, I'm still going to be here. He failed, he wouldn't be here anymore, but he still was fighting. And I couldn't make excuses after seeing what he did. And so that was a real inspiration for me to start the business. And I actually started the business a little over a year after he passed, just to really try to honor him and sort of keep his legacy going. And every day through the hard times, it's hard starting your own business from scratch, right? It's hard trying to build a business. There's lots of barriers, lots of things to overcome. But when I get in those moments, I just think about him and what he tried to do and what he did, just to live as long as he did. And, that helps keep me going. In his 6 months of life, he had 7 surgeries, right? And 4 of them were on his heart. And so he went through a lot. And I'm not going through anything like that. If I can't make payroll, it's not the same thing as laying in bed with my chest wide open so everybody can see my heart pumping, right? It's nothing that I'm going through, none of my hard times even compare to his hard times. And if he couldn't make excuses, he couldn't do anything, and then I shouldn't either. And so everything I do, why I go so hard for the businesses, I just want to, honor his memory.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Because even as he's an inspiration to you, you and his memory are an inspiration to others who are actually hearing it, because it inspired me when I heard that was the reason why you pushed so hard. I just sat there and I shook my head and was like,
No excuses.
You know what? He looks at his son, he watches his son take his last breath, and he says that he has to go hard for his son. You could have just gave up, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And because of that, we say thank you. Because now you're here and you're inspiring somebody else, because now I don't have an excuse. I don't have an excuse to just give up because something that is not going my way, or I don't have, the people I thought I was going to have. So keep on pushing. So that's another lesson for us, is that we just got to push through all of it, no matter what.
Exactly. How did it play on your mental health, Mike? And I mean, because I battled depression, and I even got to the point where I didn't want to live anymore, and this was for minor stuff, losing, not minor, but, I had some loss, in cars, family members. But how did it play on your mental health? What kept you, and again, how did it play on your mental health, man? Because this story is just still, making me a little emotional, but I'm still driven and inspired by your story,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was really tough on my mental health, right? And I grew up in a home that is, I think a way that many of us in the Black community grew up, right, where mental health is not put as a priority, where depression's not a thing, right? Good people don't get depressed, kind of thing. And so I've always sort of suffered from self-esteem issues and depression issues. I just didn't know it. When I was in my early 20s, I did almost commit suicide one time. That's something I've talked a ton about, but I was right on the verge of ending my life. I didn't, and I'm still here. And that's kind of overcoming that kind of helped with this process, because, when my son passed, right, I was crushed. I was devastated. That was it for me. But having been down the road of almost committing suicide one time before, and knowing the impact that had I done that could have on people, and having friends who did commit suicide and seeing the impact that had, that kind of helped keep me a little bit more grounded during this period, because those thoughts did cross my mind during this, that sometimes it was the pain was so bad I just wanted to end it all, which meant ending myself. But also I had, 2 beautiful girls that I still had to be there, and I couldn't do that to them. And so that kind of helped to keep me going. And, my wife, wouldn't be fair to her, to the girls, if I did that. And so I was just trying to, they kept me going through that, but it was really hard, right? Like I didn't know how to, deal with that level of pain, right? Because I've never experienced that level of pain before, right? And so it was really hard. I, tried different things. There were times where I just wanted to like drink and make it all go away. But I also didn't want to like become like a functioning alcoholic, just trying to numb my pain. And so instead, I basically turned to food, right? And whenever I would get the urge to drown my pain in drink, I would drown my pain in food. I gained almost 100 pounds in that year after he passed because I had used, eating as my way to not drink, right? So it's crazy sometimes how you want to avoid one thing that is not good for you, and you turn to something else. And so for me, I turned to food, and that was not, and it got to the point where the first time I ever went and got therapy from a professional was during this period, because at the same time, like my sisters were having kids, a lot of my friends were having kids, and I just couldn't, like, it was rough whenever I would see a message that like somebody was having a boy. Like there was times where I couldn't be happy for them. Wow, because like I didn't think it was fair. I couldn't be happy for them, and I was angry. And it got to the point where it was like I couldn't even function because I had so much anger to go along with that pain. So that was the very first time that I ever went and started to see a therapist because I knew I needed help. And I knew if I didn't get some help to deal with some of the mental health issues I was dealing with from that things would not continue to go well. And so it's still an ongoing battle. I don't see the same therapist, but I go to therapy every week still, because I'm still dealing with my own issues of the depression and self-esteem on top of that. But still, there's still times where like that pain from my son's passing comes in so strong that I just need to go and talk to a professional, because things can get ugly real fast when you don't get the help that you need. And so I think this whole experience with my son also just sort of really highlighted the importance of taking care of your mental health for me, right? It was the first time I acknowledged that I needed to see a professional, and went and saw a professional for help. And my life's been better because of that. But it took something like that to make me sort of break through some of the stereotypes and misnomers we have in our community about seeking help. And it took this to help me see through that and get the help that I needed.
Right. So it's important that everybody knows that, going to get help doesn't make you crazy. And that's the stigma that's over us. And that's why a lot of us don't go, because they said that if we go and we talk to people, we're crazy. No, you're crazy because you're not going and you need help. You need somebody to actually talk to. So, it is very important to, go ahead and talk to somebody.
That's right.
You don't want to check out, so just go and talk to somebody. Mental health is very, very important. So if you guys are listening, please know that, going to talk to somebody is not because you're crazy. Right. It's not. It's needed. That's I believe right. that everybody should have a therapist that they talk to, so that's important. So thank you for sharing that, and know that, you being transparent about this issue is definitely helping somebody.
That's right.
Because I'm sure somebody's sitting there and just, going through something and know that they should be talking to somebody. And now that they see that somebody else is doing the same thing, and willing to talk about it, that they can now, go get help. So thank you for sharing that.
And not to even leave out your wife, because I can imagine she have to still be strong for the girls and you and even for herself.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you brought out that, from a man's perspective, all the hugs and the embrace goes to the woman, but then you had find time to write a book and to prepare for you to do a business. So I really salute you and your wife for hanging in there together. And I'm pretty sure it has not been always pretty, but man, I salute both of you. I know we're talking to you, but I do have to really send my love and support and salute to her, because I can imagine she has to still keep the house going, still support you even when it doesn't even look good, and still be in there to support you. And then she had the baby in her.
Yeah,
and so
she
we got to
got
understand
it.
all the things that she had to go through also.
Yeah.
So I salute you guys, man. Mental health is very serious. I push it, man. Lady D, we push it to the max when it comes to mental health, because it's near and dear to us. It's part of our walk and our ministry. And so thank you for sharing and being transparent. Let's get to that app. Let's get to the seasons. Let's get to the Mike D stuff that I like. I'm Iron Chef in my house, and so I'm the best cook in my house, Mike. And I just ordered, off the app. You ain't got no Mike D season, and don't touch my stuff, lady, because you cook with accent. You do not cook with Mike D season. Stop it. Stop it. Put you on blast.
You see how he do me,
Put
Mike?
you on
He
blast.
do me wrong.
Right.
I see it. I see it.
When he had the app, Mike was gonna send me some. I said, no, I'm getting the app.
Okay,
I'm going to get my own stuff. Man.
So
Don't
let's
send me no
talk,
little
let's talk
bottle.
about the app in these seasons, but I want to really get to the ribs though. So tell us about your app and tell us about the business. What are you doing? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so the heart of my business is Mike D's Barbecue, and sort of the heart of it is we have an award-winning line of barbecue sauces and dry rubs. And so I really started because I was sort of missing the kind of flavors that I wanted, and I didn't really see it on the market. So I figured I'd just make mine, and I wanted to really, wanted to bring in some of my Hispanic culture and flavors into the barbecue. I felt that was missing in barbecue, and so we created these sauces and rubs to sort of marriage these flavors together. And we got two sauces. We have a big sauce, which is our mild sauce. My nickname was Big Sauce, and so I named my first product Big Sauce. And then we have a spicy barbecue sauce. And we have two rubs. We have an all-purpose rub and a sweet and spicy rub. Now, both of our rubs are all-purpose, but we call one sweet and spicy because it's got some extra sweetness and a little extra spicy in there. But they can both be used on any and everything. The unique thing about our sauces is, I don't know how much you guys get into like the North Carolina barbecue and sort of the different clashes that happen. But we've got, part of the state that uses tomato-based sauces and part of the state that uses vinegar-based sauces. And ours is like a hybrid between the two. So we have vinegar and tomato in our base. And so we've been almost 8 years now. We've been selling these sauces and rubs. We sell a lot of it through our website, MikeD'sBBQ.com. And recently we developed an app that you can get on the Apple App Store and on the Google Play Store for folks who don't have iPhones. And you can just go to the app stores and search for Mike D's Barbecue Nation. And you can download our app, and that way you can order our sauces and rubs without ever having to go to the website. You can just order it from the app. You'll get updates and notifications faster than anybody else does because we'll do push notifications, and you can order right from there. Once you add like your shipping address and your payment information one time, like it's always there. So anytime you want to go back and reorder, you can just add to your cart, swipe over, and pay, and we'll get it shipped out to you. And so we just started launching that within the last couple of weeks. We dropped the Apple app dropped about 2 weeks ago. The Google Play app dropped on Friday of last week. And so we're excited to get more and more people downloading the app and continue to help spread Mike D's Barbecue love all over the place.
Yeah, I'm spreading it. And it's only $25, y'all. The big sauce. There's a lot of sauce. If y'all can, I don't know if y'all can really see it. They can see it. Yeah, let me get it right here. This right here is the big sauce. There's a lot of sauce.
Yeah, if you get the gallon, it's actually a really good deal to get the gallon because it's $25 for a gallon. But if you buy which you can't right now because we're actually basically sold out of the big sauce in the regular size bottles. But if you get like 3 bottles of big sauce, it's $21. And so you can spend $4 more and get a gallon and have it for a lot longer because that gallon's going to last a lot longer than 3 individual bottles. So sometimes people get scared of the gallon size thinking like that's too much sauce. But trust me, once you start throwing some D's on it, that gallon's going to go pretty quick too.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you got to support this. You have to. I call you Mike D, BBQ with a purpose, the sauce and the product with a purpose. And the reason why I named that, yes, lady, don't look at me in hating mode. The product with a purpose because there's a story behind this product, guys. I'm going to look in the camera just like the president.
Oh my God.
You better go to Mike D, BBQ Nation and get the apps. I'm like an app. I like the app stuff, right? Because you can pop, 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 pop. Get it right now. All the listeners of the swag, you got to get it. Support this guy. He has a story. He has a story, lady. All right. Now back to the regular program. Well, this is where we hand you the stage. You already said enough, but I want you to shout out. You can do what you want, say what you want. It's like your birthday, Mike D. The stage is yours. We appreciate you coming. Speak your truth. Say what you want to say. Again, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just, again, download the app Mike D's BBQ Nation on all the app stores. Visit our website, MikeD'sBBQ.com. If you're in the North Carolina area, come by Durham. Almost a year ago, we opened a barbecue supply store where we sell grills and smokers and charcoal and wood and grill tools, accessories. We also have a section of the store where we sell products that are made in North Carolina, other food products that are made in North Carolina. We try to highlight as many women and minority-owned businesses as possible. And even our grills and smokers are built locally. We try to support local as much as possible. And so just do that. But I mean, the big thing for me is one of the other reasons that barbecue is so important to me is because I think barbecue brings people together. I talk to people a lot and I say, if we had more barbecues, we could get world peace, right? If we had more barbecues, we could make some inroads when it comes to racism. Because you think about, there's something about meat and vegetables, if that's your thing, right? Cooked over the open fire or smoke that just gets people to put things aside and just enjoy themselves, right? You can go to, there's a billion barbecue joints across the South, right? You can go to a barbecue joint and nobody's in there arguing about politics. They're not arguing about anything. There's oftentimes just silence because people are enjoying good barbecue. But you hear laughter. You'll hear people talking about other stuff, right? It's something about it where you can walk into a barbecue joint and all these other things kind of go away. And we're just enjoying good food because good food brings people together. And that's one of the things that I always want to do with my products is make sure that we're bringing people together to have good times and good fellowship, because I think the world is a better place when we're able to do that. And one of the unfortunate things about COVID for all this time is people couldn't get together. And I think that was something that's missing. And I think that's why 2020 to me was such a hard year in terms of just the way people went at each other, just sort of the dislike for each other, the hate for each other, because like we couldn't get together. We couldn't meet at barbecue joints and put all that stuff aside, eat some good food, and just think about nothing else. And I think that the more we can do that, whether it's with my products or other products or my future barbecue joint or any other barbecue joints, like it just brings folks together. And that's what's so important about food to me, and barbecue specifically, is that we can have folks in Texas who think they have better barbecue than folks in North Carolina, right? But we can, if we're at the same barbecue place, we're not fighting over that, right? We're just going to be eating good barbecue and talking about like what makes our regions of barbecue good, right? We're gonna come together. And I think we need to find other ways that we can do that, but barbecue is a good way to do that. It's good for the soul, it's good for the mind. It may not be as good for the body and health in terms of your health, but like everything is good in moderation, right? And so just we need to bring people together. We need to put aside some of our differences. The world can be a better place. Our kids can grow up in a better place if we focus on the things that we have in common. And I think barbecue is a way to help do that, right?
Right.
So again, tell people where they can find you, the app, the web, the whole nine, what's up and coming.
Yeah.
And we're going to let you go.
All right. Yeah. So, visit our website, MikeD'sBBQ.com. That's MikeD'sBBQ.com. You can see it behind me. Go to the App Store and look for Mike D's BBQ Nation. Download our app. You can follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all the same. Mike D's BBQ, MikeD'sBBQ. Follow us on social media. We put a lot of videos out there about us cooking food. We put a lot of videos, a lot of content out there. And when you order our product and try it, post your videos of you using it, post a picture of you with it. We like to reshare customer photos because we are nothing without Mike D's BBQ Nation. So we want everybody to see who you are and the things that you're doing. We have a Facebook group called Mike D's BBQ Nation, so you can search for that, join the group, and we like to share recipes and pictures of the food that we're cooking together and all that stuff. So you can pretty much find us everywhere. Just Google Mike D's BBQ, and you can find us in some form or fashion. But the website, social media, get on our email list. We can send you stuff. download the app. That's going to be the quickest way to get updates from us. We can do those push notifications, and then follow us on social media. And, reach out. If you got questions, reach out. I usually try to answer people who send me DMs about business. I'm always open. People ask me business questions. People ask me for advice. If you ask it and I've got a moment, I'm definitely going to answer it, because people did that for me when I was first starting out, and I want to make sure that I'm there for people when they have questions as well. So plenty of avenues to follow us and reach out to us and just do it. Like, we love having more people become part of Mike D's Barbecue Nation.
I love it. I'm excited.
Yes.
Well, Mike, here's the thing. It's the hardest part of my job, is to let good people go the way I let them go. Mike D, you just took over our stage, but now I got to kick you off the stage. Bye. We love you to life. There's nothing you can do about it but love us back.
That's right. That's right.
Supporting you, brother. You are family now. You can knock on the swag door at any time. God bless you, and thank you for joining the Swag in the Morning. The stage was yours, and now it's mine. Back again.
All right. Thanks for having me.
God bless you, man. It's world famous Swag in the Morning. That was my bro-ham, my bro, Mike D.
Yes.
Lady D,
yes.
You was about to cry. I saw the tears in your eyes. I'm not gonna lie, I was. Amazing gift from God, amazing story, Mike
Absolutely.
D. I'm hooked on that guy.
Yes.
Swag in the Morning, y'all. We the world famous. Believe that, please. Season 2, we kicked off right.
Yes, yes.
Good dude, man.
I truly enjoyed it. He gave us some good information. So y'all go ahead and follow him on all social media websites. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to try his dry rubs and his sauces. And we're going to let you know. So Prince Cree is going to be.
I'm gonna have
he's going to be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let him do his video.
And I'm going to tape. I might broadcast the swag, and I'm going to get, with me cooking.
Yes, yes.
Thank y'all for joining us. We love y'all, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
Please allow me just to express myself. This time I wanna know you better. We can tweet all day, but I like it when I rock it with you till the sun comes up. Hey.